whether it's called pinning, whether it's called max pain, how do we determine where this event is going to be as we're dealing with the third Friday of the month? OPEX, options expiration. That's exactly the conversation that we were having this morning in the Sector Secrets Mastery Room, and trying to determine where that magnetic, that gravitational pull was going to be. So this is going to apply to S&P and the NASDAQ, whether you do SPX, whether you go QQQ, whether you do SPY, or even the ES or NQ, this is going to apply. This is the kind of day where, because of the massive amount of options that are expiring the third Friday of each month, we're going to have gravitational pull towards those thick open interest levels. Here's how we determined what those levels were going to be. And you can see this here in the notes. This was determined by about 10:30 a.m. this morning. All right, so first of all, shenanigans, right? Pin the tail on the profit is the title that we came up with. Shout out to Corey, one of our members, that said, Rog, I want to know how you pin, if you're going to pin. How do you figure it out? Pin the tail on the profit. Here we go. So shenanigans are going to erupt on options expiration Friday. The way that we did this in the SPY, you'll see shenanigans, right? Where is the open interest liquidity? What is going to be that gravitational pull? I'm going to add one extra element to this conversation, and that is the volume weighted average price. Now, this isn't just a VWAP. This is much more important. This is an A VWAP. This is an anchored VWAP. All right, really important to use anchored VWAPs. The primary anchors I'm going to recommend are 9:30 a.m. You can even use a 7 a.m. anchor. All right, so this is an anchored VWAP to 9:30. Take a look here, gang. If I've already determined that I've got the open interest at 450, that's the gravitational pull, then that VWAP here just continues to support. If I know that liquidity in options is open interest, then liquidity on the actual SPY is volume based on time here. There's your 450 pin. Okay, that's the way we'll determine that zone. What about the SPX? So a lot of folks ask me, Rog, let's do the SPX as well. So let's pull that up. And the way we did that is really similar. Now, I won't use the VWAP here, right? I won't use the VWAP here, but I'm certainly going to use the same kind of open interest. And it was really close to 4,500. Now, not quite spot on as the SPY. I prefer trading the SPY for that reason. I think the levels that I'm able to find on the SPY for my purposes via my tools are far more accurate than the SPX. I'm not a big SPX trader, but I get the question all the time. There it is. Now, folks ask, Rog, is it more likely to be above or below that level? And that's where I'll say, use the previous session close and use the overall multi-trend and ask yourself, have we been largely neutral or bullish? And if it's a little bit more multi-trend bullish, if we're trading above the previous session close, I'm going to expect to be above that shenanigans level of 4,500, right? But I don't think this was an easy one on SPX. SPY was spot on. All right, let's go to the third one we did. So that's QQQ. And you can see in the notes, gang, this is exactly what I've shared with the members. So the zones I was looking for in the QQQ was 385 to 387. That was the zone based, again, on the open interest. And even though 380 would have been a really great place that option seller would have wanted to see prices go to, because that was where a lot of liquidity was, that 380 is going to have me looking more at the lower end of the range at 385. Right? So knowing that 380 had a lot of liquidity, if we're going to end up at one end of the range or the other, yeah, 385 made a whole lot more sense, and there you go, right? And that's also right around that VWAP. So if you want to use a volume-weighted average price, put it on the S&P futures, ES, put it on the NQ futures, NQ. Use the SPY, use the QQQ. I just want to show you how much more accurate this process is with these symbols, the QQQ and the SPY. And that's really it. Pin the tail on the profit. So each options expiration Friday, open up the option chain. So today we open up the option chain for November 17. Take a look at the puts, take a look at the calls, find where the open interest is the most heavy. 385 had 24,000 plus contracts, 387 had 21,000 plus contracts, and 380 had 44,000. So that's going to push me down towards the lower end of the range. On the SPY, the action was at 450, 51,000 contracts. That magnetic, that gravitational pull is going to be huge. Now you might say, Rog, didn't the 455s have a lot of open interest? They did, 70,000 up there, right? But is 455 even in play? No, look at where the VWAP was. So if you're wondering, okay, Rog, we had the 450s, and way up here we had the 470s in terms of open interest liquidity. But look at my anchored volume weighted average price. It pretty much stayed in that 450 area all day long, and that's, the pin the tail on the profit. Okay, I hope this helps. I think it's particularly helpful the third Friday of each month. And if you're looking for swing entries, if you're looking for overnight entries and you want to find a level that could possibly be a target or an entry, right? This is the way I'll do it. So if you've got a long position like we did, we had QQQ and SMH. So let me talk to you about how, if you're managing an open winner, right? How would that work? So with QQQ, we had to get out of our November 17 calls. These are about a 3x winner that we entered on November 9 with the 17 expiration. All right, so really nice move from there. But you might say, okay, Rog, how do I know where I'm getting either too greedy or I'm getting a little bit better price improvement? In other words, I really should not expect the market to go above 387. So if we reach 387, take profit, right? But if I know that the zone is 385 to 387, I really don't want to see anything much below 385. Once I hit 385, that's a great place to take profit. 387 is a gift. So you can see here how with an open position that's expiring today, how we can use the same information to manage an open trade. Now, the other one was the SMH. Now, I did not do this one with the members this morning. So let's do it together in this video. So I'm going to take a look at the 17 November expiration SMH. This was another long position we had built on November 9. And with a position like this, just so you know what I'm managing on that SMH, and again, built on November 9, the whole idea was to get the 150 call. So we're long the 150 calls from 151.70 on November 9, just to give you an idea of the perspective and the potential for profit. So today I know I've got to get out. They expire today. So right off the bat, I'm going to look at the SMH 17 option chain. The most liquid level is 165, but that was not in play at all. The 165s have the most liquidity. After that, the second largest, thickest level was the 160. All right, so there's the 160. So I know somewhere in between here, I'm going to have to figure out where I'm being too greedy, I'm getting a great fill, and where I don't want to let price fall under. That's at 160 level. All right. But on the flip side, what else do I have? I have my anchored volume weighted average price. Where is that sitting? Here's sitting at about 161.5 to 162. Look, the closer I can get a fill to the VWAP, the better off I am. If we start moving through the VWAP, I probably don't want to overstay my welcome, because again, now I'm moving away from where price is likely to get pulled back down to, right? And again, the second most liquid level after 165 was 160. You might be asking, well, Rog, what was the third most liquid level, right? So number one was 165. Number two was 160. Actually, the 158s are number three. And number four, the 162.5s. So this is where open interest was not the highest at 162.5, but it was open interest plus proximity to where we were trading. So if you start ranking open interest on Friday, first, second, third, fourth highest levels, you're going to get a pretty darn good idea of where price could be. And then ask yourself, well, which one of those are we closest to? And really 160 and the 162.5s were pretty much where we operated, even though we weren't out at the extremes of the higher open interest levels like 165. Ask yourself, where are we? Where's the VWAP? Really anything between 162.5 And 160 was going to be a really good level to exit. So that's how you would use it as a profit. So pin the tail on the profit. It could be not only where are we likely to close, it could also be if I've got an open position that is expiring today and a big winner like we had in QQQ and SMH, here's how we could better define, fine-tune where to take profit. Hope that helps. If you have any questions about this, please leave them below. I check the questions every evening after I do a video, and I'm happy to answer it. As always, thank you for your time for watching, and also thanks as always for smashing that like button. All right, gang, have a great weekend. Be good to each other. I will see you on Sunday at 6 p.m. right here at the Simpler Trading YouTube channel for our top tier outlook. We had 4 swing entries in the last week. Those swings are coming back, gang. Overnight positions are looking really, really good. We'll talk about them on Sunday. Until then.